turn if you can hear me. So sorry for the few minutes delay. So we'll just get right into it right now. So yeah, good evening, everybody. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on wherever you're tuning in from. And welcome to the Techeconomy Business Series, July edition. It's great to have everyone here. Thank you so much for joining. Those of you who are joining us for the very first time, and for those of you that have been with us right at the very beginning, it is good to have you here. And if this is your first time on the Techeconomy Business Series, I want to officially welcome you. The Techeconomy Business Series is a monthly series that we have where we, come together to have real conversations, around the intersection of tech, business, leadership, and all of that. So yeah, welcome. And today, our conversation for today is talent is the new oil, which is more so around preparing African workforce for AI and automation. And trust me, by the time we are done having these conversations, which I'm looking forward to, also talking to our amazing speakers who are also on the call. So for our speakers, you could turn your camera on, and also just for us to properly manage the audio, you could probably just stay muted until you are speaking, but you could quickly unmute and say hi to us. We'd love to hear your voices. I'll get straight.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Robert.
Hello.
Hi, Lara.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the opportunity to. Good evening. Welcome. Welcome on board. Thank you. All right. So we would just quickly before we proceed, before the media team introduces our speakers, feel free to drop a comment, tell us where you're joining in from. Like I said, my name is Buki Amosun, community manager Tech Economy, and I'm joining in from Lagos, Nigeria. I also want to know where all our amazing listeners are joining in from, so feel free to leave us a comment in the chat box while the media team introduces our speakers. Thank you.
Chinwe Azuke is Senior Estate and Team Lead at WTS Blackwoodstone. She is a corporate and commercial lawyer with over 7 years of experience advising businesses on corporate governance, regulatory compliance, risk management, fintech regulation, and emerging technologies. Her work focuses on the legal and regulatory implications of artificial intelligence in digital assets and digital innovations, helping organizations adopt new technologies responsibly while staying compliant. Chinwe is a member of the Nigerian Bar and the Nigerian Institute of Management Chartered. She is passionate about ethical AI, data protection, workforce resilience, and governance framework that support Africa's digital transformation. Robert Duke is the founder of DIMC Technologies Africa, a leading AI service company helping businesses, governments, and institutions move from AI experimentation to enterprise-scale adoption. With over a decade of cross-functional experience in major European companies, both as an operator and a leader, and hands-on experience building in Nigeria, he helps regulated businesses implement AI solutions that are practical, compliant, and commercially viable. Kamal Dandina is the Chief Growth Officer at Dataleum, UK and Nigeria, and a leading AI and DIMC expert. With over a decade of experience in digital transformation, business intelligence, and talent development, he has helped businesses and professionals leverage AI and data for growth. A Microsoft certified trainer and Microsoft certified data analyst, Kamal has trained over more than 9,000 professionals, worked with leading organizations and led AI and data literacy programs that have reached over 35,000 participants globally. He's passionate about equipping individuals and organizations with the skills needed to thrive in an AI-driven economy. Lara, the General Manager, Business Transformation and Flour Mills of Nigeria PLC. She is a business transformation executive coach, and international speaker with nearly 20 years of experience helping organizations align strategy, people, and performance to drive business growth. A former country HR leader at Accenture Nigeria, Lara is a ProSci certified change management practitioner and an executive education alumna of the Yale School of Management. She has been recognized as one of Nigeria's top 10 influential female HR and talent managers by Nairametrics and is among the top 100 women impacting Africa. She is also the founder of HR Gems, an author and a passionate advocate for change leadership and enterprise transformation. Let's make welcome our distinguished panelists for this edition of Techeconomy Business Series with our favorite emojis and applause.
Wow, what an interesting panel I have today, and I'm really looking forward to having a conversation with every one of you. So once again, thank you so much for the privilege. And Lara, apologies for your photo not showing up. It's a bit of a little issue from the back end. So
Technology issues, you understand. Tech issues.
That's right. And thank you all so much for joining. And for those of you that are also just joining, welcome again to the Techeconomy Business Series. It's always an insightful time to have you here. And like I said before, this is a monthly series that we have, and I look forward to many, many more to come. So yeah, on to the order of the day. The theme for today's conversation is talent is the new oil. So I'm just going to throw like a question to each and every one of our speakers. Just, I just want to have like a brief idea of what your thoughts are. So looking at the pace of AI and automation, what do you believe will become the most valuable skill or combination of skill for professionals over the next 5 years, and why? Let me start with Lara. Lara, you're muted. You're still muted.
Oh, okay. Yes, please. Please confirm you can hear me, everyone.
I can.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, depending on whatever location you're joining from. It's such a delight to be here. It's my first time here at the Techeconomy Series. I'm really excited, and I'm looking forward to learning from the rich conversations we're going to have today. So, my thoughts, honestly, around what will become the most valuable skill in the next 5 years, given the pace of AI and automation happening in the world of work now. For me, a combination of a couple of skills. We're also going by the most recent study by the World Economic Forum. A couple, I would share two top of mind for me. I think for me, the first is critical thinking and complex problem solving. And why do I say that? We're in a world that is consistently and constantly changing. We're in a world that gives opportunity for a lot of creativity. We're in a world that gives opportunity for people to express their ingenuity. AI, as we see, for me, AI is also creativity. So the critical skill for me first is critical thinking, your ability to start seeing things differently. When you encounter problems, your ability to critique, to ask the right set of questions, your ability to start thinking of solution, the ability to think of value, not just problems. And if you have that critical skill, sets you out in the world of work. The other skill for me, top of mind, is of course tech and data literacy. We're in a world now that with technology advancements and AI, people are doing phenomenal things, amazing things. If you're able to grow, improve your tech and literacy skills, coupled with your ability to think critically and solve complex problems with technology, you're going to be hot cake in the world of work that we're in now. And the third for me would be leadership, communication, emotional intelligence. Yes, AI is here, but there is also the need for us as humans to understand how best to apply our human ingenuity and human intelligence coupled with the AI intelligence out.
Okay, I think I lost Lara to her network issues, but thank you so much, Lara in Absential. Okay, so just before she joined back, Chioma, do you want to chip in to that? Do you want to share? In case you didn't get the question the first time, I said, what do you believe will become the most valuable skill for professionals over time, and why? Why do you think so? You could just give us a really quick answer before we go in depth into the rest of the conversation.
Thank you. Good evening, distinguished guests. Before I start, I'd like to greet everyone. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you to the host for having me. In respect to your question, I would like to start with a little introduction, if you don't mind. I think I agree with your question to the extent that AI is coming at a pace that has been unprecedented. It's really coming very fast, and a lot of people. I'm sorry, 1 second. There's a noise in my background. So AI is coming at a pace that I think whether we're prepared for it or not is here to stay, right? It's really challenging a lot of people, but it's also promising. So I would say, in response to your question, I would say that the most important skill, I'll just mention one before we go in depth, is mental agility. And I say this because mental agility would help us to embrace, the challenges and the promises that come with the fast pace with which AI is coming out. You understand? So yes, I think the skill will be some form of mental agility. Yes. And what do I mean by mental agility? I mean the ability to be unsatisfied or dissatisfied rather with where you are, constantly striving to be better. It takes a form of agility mentally to do that. So yeah, that's the answer to your question in a nutshell. And corporate governance and AI systems, because this AI system process large amounts of personal and organizational data. Consequently, compliance with Nigerian Data Protection Act. I'm going to say this because it's going to answer your question eventually. Just stay with me, please. And the general application of the cybercrimes important. A lot of AI and workforce issues interconnect around data protection, labor law, by virtue of some unfair other several regulatory frameworks in Nigeria states. We've also begun to see a cluster of AI-related cases especially in foreign jurisdictions, such as Man and Clever AI, where there was a class action lawsuit against Clearview AI for misuse of biometric data, and the court held in favor of the claimants. We've also seen a very recent one this month, July 14th to be precise, where 26 Meta employees sued Meta, accusing targeting leave or had disabilities. So they have this automated system. The HR, because of the volume of staff, so the HR relies on automation and automated processes to lay people off. And in that case, that they were targeted by the disabilities they had, or should you think employers are looking for at this point? So I think that because of all of this, I'm going to start a question. The recent job search is now very much more defined. Employers are beginning to look for talents that possesses one, I think industry knowledge. Industry knowledge is very important. For instance, I just mentioned some things that are happening in the AI and tech and automation field in the tech sector in my field, for instance. So deep industry knowledge is very important. I think employers are really looking for this. So for instance, if you're a lawyer, know the law. I think it's a foundation that should not be overlooked. If you're a doctor, you should know know your medicine properly, and whatever your competency is professionally, you should know that as well. Then I think number two thing that employers will be looking at as an add-on is AI competency and know-how. So does this talent possess simple AI skills and competency with available AI software technologies in that field? My capabilities like thought leadership, like problem-solving mindset, and not really solve how do I say this? Clients give you a job because they trust that you can execute it in a way that AI cannot do it, right? So because most clients they are intertwined and AI cannot solve it alone. So I believe that idea of looking for talents that have a problem-solving mindset that can actually solve the problem, where human needed, they will put in, where AI skills are needed, they would put it in. I think that's a very important factor as well. Then also speed and accuracy with deliverables. I mean, the very essence of this is essentially the backbone upon which AI is widely accepted for faster work. So I think if talent does not still know how to do work faster, even with AI, then it defeats the purpose. So I think, yes, employers will be looking at that. Then, of course, critical thinking and good judgment. So if rather than as as rather than thinking for you understand? So AI work in line with that, AI work has to be scrutinized, analyzed, and vetted by a human before application. And this is why I mentioned some cases earlier. So for instance, the case I mentioned of where a mass there was a mass layoff, and this was done by AI bots. the reason why the case is still in court, but the reason why they'll probably succeed in court is because the Nigerian Data Protection Act requires that one of the principles of using AI or automation is that there must be human oversight. So if there's no human oversight, then it's already failing, to meet the standards of the law. So yes, every AI work must be scrutinized, analyzed, and vetted by a human before application. So yeah, and then thought leadership. I already mentioned thought leadership. They must be proactive with. This means talent must be proactive of technological advancements, take a position on emerging issues with AI in your field. You don't have to know what's happening in my field in terms of AI, but in your field, you have to have a thought leadership and know what's happening in your field. So that is those are some of the, I think, let me summarize what I've said so far. So the talents, the skills that talent should possess in these coming days should be: one, a deep industry knowledge, that's one; two, AI competency; and three, human capabilities. And these human capabilities are where I mentioned problem-solving mindsets, speed and accuracy, critical thinking and good judgment, and thought leadership. Among many other, there are other ethical principles which you should use, like confidentiality, but I won't go into that. But these are some basic, I think, rudimental things that employers will be looking out for from talent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chinwe, for your answer. So I would, I think I'd go to Robert next. So I understand that you're someone building technology, right? And as someone building technology solutions in Africa, do you think that one of our biggest challenges rather is to access these technologies, or do you think it's to access people, like people with the right skill, people that have this skill to be able to in order to use it effectively?
It's a fantastic question. I think it's important not to view that as a false dichotomy, by false dichotomy being either or, right? So it's either we have access to tools. I'm going to bring in a third option, which I think is imperative for the African narrative, and that is being able to develop these tools ourselves. So currently, when you look at the GPT, which is a generative pre-trained transformer architecture, I think there are less than 1,000 people who actually know how to build a large language model from scratch, right? So we as Nigerians, we as Africans need to focus on being able to develop this technology so that we are not net consumers, but we are net producers. So I think a nice example I'd like to give, pardon me for that, a nice example I'd like to give is like a car, right? You can either have people who know how to drive, which would be on the bottom of the value chain. You can have people who have access to cars, which is on the mid side of the value chain, or you can have people who know how to produce cars. And right now, for instance, in Nigeria, we have a lot of people who know how to drive, more people have access to cars, and very few people who know how to produce cars, if not none. So we have to look towards this direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Okay, so I think I'll turn my next question to Kamal. So we have many organizations right now experimenting with AI, but there are very few of them that are seeing like the business results at the end of the day. So looking at it from a growth perspective, what would you say separates these companies that succeed with AI from those ones that, just follow the trends?
Okay, thank you so much. I think this question is very important for now, especially as we tend to play around with technology because, of course, it's the shiny new thing and everybody would want to experiment and try it out. And the brilliance that comes with AI when people just use things like ChatGPT or Claude, and then it gives them results. And we're beginning to hear organizations clamor for solutions, basically. But at the end of the day, we ought to ask ourselves certain questions. Is this really giving me returns? Am I jumping on a trend, or I'm truly utilizing this technology to get ROI for my business, and of course, to move the needle in terms of my bottom line, in terms of processes, and also cutting costs. Those very, very elementary things in business. So, for me, I would always say that there is a huge misconception around AI, thinking that it delivers business value ultimately. I think, in my own opinion, and I would like to assert this, I would say that AI basically amplifies existing capabilities. So it helps you in being better, in doing better work, right? So um, in in responding to your question, in how we can fully identify organizations that are truly leveraging AI and seeing better returns as compared to those that are just jumping on the bandwagon and just thinking, okay, we have AI now. There's a framework I'd like us to at least go home with. And every time we're having discourse like this, we should use that as a point for assessment. The acronym is basically growth. Um, the first is to ask ourselves, what is the goal? So the G there, we're trying to define the goal first. So organizations that are truly leveraging AI and getting higher returns from the get-go would define the goal they want to achieve. All right. Now, secondly, we always fail to understand that AI does not function in a vacuum. There are things that feed it. And one good thing that feeds AI is data. So in speaking about data, do we have reliable data to build our models on? So whichever organization that is looking to leverage AI, what is the nature of their data? Is it reliable? Is it do we have enough data, credible data to build our strategies on, to build our models on, and so on and so forth. I would also like to speak to my O, which is looking at ownership, really. So if organizations do not clearly differentiate between technicality and business ownership, then there's usually always a challenge. Who is owning the strategy for the implementation of AI? Is it just the technical team, or do we have people that understand the business and are responsible for the inputs and outputs that will come from leveraging? So organizations that are very, very AI literate and fluent would ensure that there is some sense of ownership, especially from the lens or perspective of the business and how the business is run. Talking about, or I'll also we'll talk about workforce enablement. We need to ensure that we have enabled our workforce to an extent where they really know how to utilize the technology in itself to get value. Today, we see organizations investing heavily on just skill set like prompt engineering, because we believe that if we can build capabilities in terms of just prompting, we can do a whole lot better. We can manage the expenditure that goes to our tokens. And in the world of AI today, you hear things like token masking, because maxing, because we're beginning to see how expensive it is for just as little as prompting the LLMs, right? So that is something that organizations are trying to put a watch to. Running quickly, I'll also speak to the fact that we need to test small. Now, a lot of times you find organizations just quickly, so because we have two organizations here. Organizations A, the ones that are doing so well and also getting real value, and B, the ones that are not doing so well. The ones that are on the B spectrum would just buy, deploy, and then expect magic to happen. But the ones that are getting true value, what they do, the framework would be, and which is my T, when I say T, I mean test small. The ones that test small would be to think about it, to do a pilot, test it small, measure the outcomes, evaluate it, and see if it works, and then they will have to scale. And then finally, my H would be around human oversight. And I'll take from the last speaker, I think Chinwe, that spoke about humans being responsible for AI as well. So we need to have human oversight, someone that is responsible for evaluating and looking at the systems that we deploy and see the outputs, and we're sure that we're getting best returns from it. All right. So if I may run quickly through my framework that we can use to be assessing organization and see if they're getting true value, would be growth. We need to constantly ensure that there's a goal. We need to look for the reliable data. We need to ensure that there is ownership. So organizations would have ownership. We need to ensure that there is work enablement. So workforce enablement is very key. We need to test small. And then finally, we need to have human oversight. I think essentially that is how we can tell if an organization is doing exceptionally well in terms of leveraging AI and getting good returns, and B, the ones that are just jumping on the bandwagon and, of course, enjoying the glitz and glamour of what AI is today.
Thank you so much, Kamal, for your response. Welcome back, Lara. I think we lost you for a bit. So I will just throw my next question to you. So how would you say businesses can introduce AI and automation into how would you say they can introduce AI and automation without creating that fear, that form of fear or resistance amongst their employees?
Thank you. Becky, please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Amazing learning is happening here. That's a great question. And I would like to start my response by building on the comments from Kamal, which is fundamental. A lot of companies hear about AI and then they just want to jump on it, and it becomes a trend without clearly defining the strategy of the organization. Sometimes the conversations also just happen at the board level. Maybe the business owner, the co-founder, or some of the executives get into conversations and meetings and they're being sold such initiatives. The biggest mistake that organizations usually start with is to assume that the conversations happen at the high level without without clarity in terms of the strategy. How does this even align with the overall business strategy? And then two, without even co-creating, collaborating with the entire workforce. So on that premise, I like to say that change is ongoing. Change is the only constant thing, but however, human by nature resists change. And the reason why people resist change is for the fear of the unknown, lack of clarity, and not having confidence in how whatever the initiative would impact their work. And I will share a very simple example. There was a particular process that existed within our sales operations, within our organization, that was semi-manual. So semi-manual is there's a documentation hard copy part to that operations, and there is the manual input into the system that happens on a monthly, and this is quite tedious. This takes time. This delays our financial report, especially our operational report on a monthly basis. So we needed to look into that operations, identify the inefficiencies, identify the gaps, and of course, introduce automation into that process. What we observed was when we were calling for conversations, of course, the head of department understood the benefit of that automation to the overall department, but didn't engage the operational guys. What we observed was we weren't getting their cooperation. So what we did was to have a conversation with them. We explained the benefits of automating that process, what it would give them in terms of their work, how it will help upskill them, and more importantly, what's in it for them, which is it will make them shine, to make them be able to produce better work, higher quality of work, and of course, reduce the strain and stress that they have to go to on a monthly basis, entering data from paper and all of those. It was until we got their buy-in, it was until we clarified the benefits to them, that was when we got their cooperation. Today, that process is seamless. And I recall engaging with one of the staff who was part of the team managing that tedious process. She came to me with a huge smile on her face, saying now she enjoys the work a lot better. And it was because there's clarity. So resistance would always come from lack of clarity, from lack of understanding in terms of what is the need for them, lack of the fear of, oh, this is coming to take my job, once AI is coming to take my job. But once you communicate, once you engage, once you align with the organizational strategy, and once they also see the benefits in it helps to further reduce resistance. Let me close with one final story. There's a particular data analyst who, in my team, supporting a particular business function, who I observed that he would always work late into the night because his business is always requesting for different data. There was a day he came to me and complained that he's struggling with having to meet with the multiple requests coming from the businesses and all of those. What we observed was his knowledge of data was limited to a certain level. And we had just initially introduced a data warehouse into my organization. I mean, Kamal will know Microsoft Fabric, right? And we observed that even though we had the solution, people didn't have the right capability, they didn't even have the right knowledge, and that speaks to the workforce and data warehouse was sitting there, but people didn't have the right skills and knowledge to engage to make their work a lot productive. What we did was to upskill and train him in Microsoft Fabric and Power BI. Guys, the reporting that takes him a whole lot to extract data from multiple different data sources across multiple systems within the organization with one singular enterprise data warehouse that helps us to now link and synchronize all our data. And with AI, with Copilot, with the prompts, he's made his work a lot.
Mommy,
Okay.
All right.
Thank
All
you.
right.
So once
All right. I've seen
and
Miss.
engagement, it helps to reduce resistance and fear from among employees. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lara. And please, to our audience, please, we would appreciate it if your mics remain muted, just so it could help us manage the entire production volume. So thank you so much. Please, everybody, kindly mute. All right, so I will just quickly come back to Robert. So still on AI adoption in like companies and organizations. What would you say? I understand that many African businesses want to embrace like the AI adoption and want to adopt AI, but they don't even know where to begin. Some people have absolutely no idea. So if you were to advise an SME today or small business owner, someone who's just starting, what would be the first practical step that you would give them towards them becoming AI ready?
This is a great question. A practical, but to be honest, would be to engage a professional. I can give a interesting example from my own personal life. So I'm a software developer, I'm a coder. I'm very good at the back end. And there's sometimes I look at the organization and I'm like, okay, I want to save money and I want to build this thing myself. And I build something myself and I end up looking at it and it's decent, but if I were to engage someone who that is specifically their job and their passion, then you're going to get much better quality, right? So it's like whatever you're doing, whatever you're investing in a project, you are going to get returns of those investment that you made. If you invest £5 or $5, even if you're getting 100x, you understand it's still limited to $500 versus if you're investing $100 and so on and so forth. Very practical advice if you're not ready to invest yet and you're still being very skeptical. Like Lara mentioned, is in understanding data. So data is the fuel of the AI age. It's understanding how your data is stored, understanding where your data is being gathered from, understanding pricing, which I believe Kamal spoke about in terms of token maxing. Now we've gone from token maxing to value maxing, because not all LLMs are equal. Some charge much more if you're using a Claude, Fable, if you're using a ChatGPT 5.6 Soul, versus if you're using a Mistral, which is an European option. It's much more cheaper on the pricing. So get your data sorted out, understand basically where the data is coming from, understand what your operational goals are, understand how the different tools come to work together. But if you're looking at long-term value, it is invest in engaging a professional, because you would see an ROI in your business.
All right, thank you so much, Robert. That was really brief and very insightful. I love it so much, and I really wish time would permit us to have like a more detailed and long conversation. So I'll just quickly go to Chinwe. So just real quick, because of time, I want to ask, so for professionals, like people who are feeling overwhelmed with the whole idea of AI and how technology is evolving over time. I mean, you haven't finished learning one and another is out the very next day. So what is one practical, active advice that you would give to people to remain employable over the next 5 years? Like what are those things I should do in order to remain valuable in the market?
Okay, thank you for your question. I think number one, if I was to sit across a professional or an intending professional, I would say this to him. Number one is to upskill or reskill. This involves learning continuously. Number two is to embrace AI literacy, embrace the fact that AI is here to stay, it's not going anywhere, and be literate about it. Pick at least 2 AI tools in your field and master them, get competency in them. Number three would be to adopt personal data ethics, ensure confidentiality. I mean, we don't want to see you exposing your organization's trade secret. I mean, there are lots of cases in court even for that right now. So we don't want to ensure that you understand personal data ethics. Organizations as well should also do that, but that's on another level. But sit across the professional, I would say master personal data ethics, ensure confidentiality, your ability to anonymize confidential information when feeding into AI, develop your critical thinking skills, and number 5, be mentally agile, like I said before. Thank you.
All right, so thank you so much, Chinwe. Okay, so just real quickly, time is fast spent. I'll just come back to Lara real quick. So I understand that business transformation generally isn't just about technology, right? So it also involves things like culture, leadership, and the like. So what role would you say leaders play in preparing their people rather for an AI-driven change?
Well, a great question. Leaders are the biggest determinants of whether AI transformation succeeds or fails, and that's the honest truth. Because technology isn't just about transforming organization, it's more around what do I mean? Putting it in context, I've spent a lot of time in my career helping organizations navigate through transformation from human perspective and now from the business perspective. One of the things that has stood out me over the years is every transformation moves at the speed of the leader. It all rests on the shoulders of the leadership. That's why it's critical for leaders, if you're going to be driving transformation within your organization, first, you have to be very clear what the vision is. What's your transformation agenda? How does your transformation agenda align with your strategy? Because the employees will always look to the leaders for direction. The other thing is leaders must learn how to communicate what is changing and then why is it changing. With reference to the earlier example that I gave, we needed to automate automate some of our processes for efficiency and for productivity. It's not to reduce the workforce. It's not to fire people, but it's rather to drive business performance. And that communication has to happen. So the role that leadership play in business transformation is pivotal and is important. And they have to have clear vision. They have to communicate the why. They have to communicate what they are doing. And more importantly, leaders also have to role model the transformation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lara, for that question. So quickly, I will just throw my last question to Kamal because of time, because there is still so much I wish we could talk about. But Kamal, so looking at AI automation, right? So as it continues to be involved in our work, in our routine work, where do you believe humans will continue to create the greatest value inside organizations?
Okay, thank you so much. I think we might have to circle back to my first response, and I wish everybody could take this as take this away from this session. Honestly, I sincerely feel that technology keeps evolving, and at the rate and speed in which technology is evolving, human beings can only play catch up, right? So as technology continues to evolve and it's getting better at doing what it's doing for us, it is essential that humans also look at capabilities that make us truly human. And that way there is a clear distinction. And we know that, okay, only a human can do this. For me, when these conversations come up, I have my 4 C's, basically. Critical thinking, that the ingenuity of human beings to think critically about issues. And I think Lara mentioned this earlier in the session. Critically think through issues, having to sift through data, understand certain lines and patterns that even computers might not be able to identify, and solve problems. Humans should continue to do that and improve those capabilities, find mental models to help us even think more critically. Secondly, would be creativity. I know these days we can come up with great prompts or leverage AI to do so many creative work and all that. But the driver of that creativity from the get-go, from the development and architecture of this solution is a human being. Technology from inception was thought out by a human being, was carefully curated to do what it's doing by a human being. So that means the mother of creativity still is a human being, and we need to also expose our minds and learn more in ways that we're more creative and apply that creativity to the work that we do. And I don't think any computer will be able to rival that. Thirdly, for my 4 C's would be around communication. Nobody understands. So when it comes to issues, for instance, imagine you having an AI as your nurse in a hospital, right? Or a computer having to empathize more than a human being can, or communicate certain feelings and emotions more than a human being can. I cannot begin to imagine that happen. And if it does happen, I think humans will always edge computers in this regard. And I think my final C typically would be around my final C, communication, critical thinking, and then finally, yes, my final C will be character. Today, the main conversations we're having is around ethical usage of AI. We're asking ourselves, if computers become they become really autonomous, where they are making decisions by themselves at all times, would they really stick to certain ethics that guide human code of living, right, and sustenance? Would they really be empathetic? Would their judgments be fair without bias? And I think human input is very important in this regard, right? So my 4 C's still would be critical thinking, right? Communication, creativity, and character. And these forces, I do not see a world where AI or computers will edge us out. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Kamal. And also thank you so much, everyone else, to all of our speakers. All right. So just real quickly as we wrap up, because I'm trying to see how we can work with time. Yeah, I'm just going to throw this out to everyone. So in like 1 minute, or let me say 30 seconds, can you just give us like what's one key takeaway that you would want the viewers here to, take home? So I'll just start with Chinwe. So real quick, what's one thing you want us to remember from this conversation?
A lot has been said today. I think one thing I would like everyone to take home is to know that AI will not replace people. I think that's the most important key takeaway here. AI will not replace people, but the people that don't know how to use AI are the ones that most likely will be affected. So that's the key takeaway.
All right, thank you. Okay, so Kamal, you're already unmuted, so I guess you're automatically next.
Okay, Buki, I think a major takeaway for me would be that we keep learning and adapting. Technology will come, the world will change, we will move from the information age to whatever age. Who knows if the metaverse is still a thing, we might survive there. But what really matters is learning how to survive in the new world that would come, and we're able to apply and adapt to it. So it's essential that we keep on learning, continuous learning, and adapting as we go forward. So it's a major takeaway, right? Thank you so much.
Over to you, Lara.
Conversation so far. I think for me is always know that AI is an amplifier. So what is AI amplifying in you? And that's why you need to focus on your human intelligence. And that's where learning, relearning, and unlearning comes into play. Every day, wake up and ask yourself, I am intelligent. What is AI going to amplify in me? It's my human intelligence. So let's shift the conversation from artificial intelligence to human intelligence. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lara. And finally, Robert.
Taking a much more global view and wanting to speak pertinent to today's topic, which is preparing Africa's workforce for AI and automation, it is that AI is a chance for Africa's economic miracle. We should not underestimate this technology. It's our chance to become a global hegemon. I really think that a lot of organizations here are going to become multi-million-dollar organizations and multi-billion-dollar organizations because of the geopolitical landscape. So a lot of this technology right now is being subsidized by both China and America because there's an AI race going on. And then we have the chance to take advantage of this subsidy that's going on to build our own economy. When we talk about workforce, we have basically three things with AI. We're going to have humans, we're going to have robots, and then we're going to have cyborgs. What are cyborgs? Cyborgs are human beings that are augmented with AI and automation, right? So this is our chance to become a global hegemon. And I really believe that in the next decade, next 2 decades, we're going to see a lot of really powerful and successful companies come out of Africa. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Robert. And once again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining, our listeners and our amazing speakers for the amazing conversation that we've actually had today. So that's a wrap on this edition. I wish time would have permitted us to talk more because, trust me, it's been really insightful, even from my end. So yeah, thank you all so much for joining us on the Tech Economy Business Series. And thank you again to our speakers. You guys are so amazing. You guys are gems, literally. So yeah, to our viewers and to everyone who's seeing this, remember the Tech Economy Business time. See you at the next edition. And also mark your calendars because Tech Economy has a lineup of amazing things coming. We also have an event coming very soon. So just for you to be able to stay updated on the date, the theme, and everything that happens around that, you can follow us on all of our social media platforms. It's Tech Economy NG. Tech Economy NG. So that's where we'll drop it. And thank you again for joining us. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for your time. Really amazing to have you here. So yeah, like I said, bye for now, and we will see you in the next one.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, Buki.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Thank you.